My lazy colleague stole my work, so I exposed him to the company. For months, he had gotten away with doing almost nothing. He had a talent for delegating his key tasks to me, often with vague promises of credit that never materialized. He was incredibly charming to our managers, so they saw him as a high performer. I just saw him as a parasite attached to my career, slowly draining my energy. I considered going to our boss, but they were friendly outside of work, and I didn't have any concrete proof. It would have just been my word against his, and given his reputation, I knew how that would end. So I kept my head down and did the work, growing more resentful with each project he took credit for. I discovered his big weakness was the proprietary data visualization software our company used for major reports. His resume claimed expertise, but he couldn't perform the simplest functions. Any project requiring this software landed on my desk with a flimsy excuse. He didn't understand its basic operation, which gave me an idea. A major quarterly review with the entire executive team was scheduled. He was chosen to present a key analytics dashboard, a make-or-break moment for our department's funding for the next year. I knew what was coming before he even walked over to my desk. Sure enough, 2 days before the review, he approached me looking panicked. He explained that he was completely swamped and desperately needed me to build the dashboard for him. He framed it as a huge team opportunity and said we'd all look great. I put on a smile and told him I would be happy to handle it. He seemed so relieved. He sent me the raw data, and I spent the next day building a perfect dashboard. The visuals were clean and the data accurate. It was some of my best work, but deep inside the file's configuration, I embedded a small piece of logic. It was designed to corrupt a critical data source if the file was opened in presentation mode after a specific time and date. I set that trigger for 5 minutes into his scheduled speaking slot. It was not a bug anyone could easily find. Fixing it required a deep knowledge of the software's backend, knowledge I knew he didn't possess. I sent him the finished file the day before the meeting, telling him I had triple-checked everything and that it was running smoothly. He gave me a condescending pat on the shoulder and told me he owed me one. I just nodded and watched him walk away. The next day, I sat in the back of the large conference room. The air was tense with all the executives there. When his turn came, he walked up to the podium with total confidence. He opened the file, and the initial dashboard looked perfect on the giant screen behind him. He spoke for a few minutes, pointing out the impressive metrics and key performance indicators I had arranged. He was soaking up the praise, then he went for his big finale. He announced to the room that he was about to filter the data to show live, minute-by-minute performance trends. He clicked the interactive button. The beautiful graphs instantly contorted into a mess of red error messages and nonsensical text. A hush fell over the room. He started sweating and clicking frantically, but the file was permanently corrupted, just as I had designed. He stammered and tried to blame a network issue. The head of IT, who was in the room, confirmed all systems were running perfectly. Our director then asked him a few basic technical questions about the software to troubleshoot it. My colleague couldn't answer a single one. His face went pale as he was exposed as a fraud in front of everyone. The fallout was immediate. He was removed from the project that afternoon. A week later, he was quietly transferred to a different department with no real responsibilities. I was officially assigned to lead the analytics portion of all our projects from then on. I never said a word to anyone about what I did. I didn't have to.